fellow Grey Wardens. My name is Celestia Lambert, your ever-loving nerd, and today we're hopping right back into Dragon Age Origins. Sorry about that, had to stretch. But yeah, like I said, we're hopping right back into Dragon Age Origins, picking up right where we left off, as a matter of fact. Alrighty. Let's see where we were last. Oh, that's right. We were at the camp. That's right. So yeah, let's go ahead and pick up right where we left off. That's right. We just gotten out of a conversation with Liliana. So let's continue talking to her.
Yes? Well, here I am.
Just out of curiosity, Liliana, what would someone like you be doing in Lothering's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
You know, a beautiful, charming woman such as yourself.
And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister, all of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique, because then they were forbidden, and forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
You're not wrong about that. But what about your fruit? Is it forbidden?
My fruit? I can't believe I'm having this conversation. But no, I do not take vows. The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
I'm sorry, I just had to. I had to tease her a little bit. Anyway. Affirmed?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the Chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
Okay, so what did you do before that then?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Huh.
Yes? Well, here I am.
So, what was life like in the Chantry Cloister, if you don't mind my asking?
It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Well, you're not wrong there. Condescending? How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
So what did he say to them then?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now. Yes? Well, here I am.
So, you said earlier, Leliana, that you were a traveling minstrel. Do you have any tales to share?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Give me just a second. There we go. Sorry about that. Had to do something real quick. So, tell me about the Darkspawn then.
Chantry lore says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
Know any Ferelden legends then?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
Flemeth? That's the name of Morrigan's mom.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
She didn't really introduce herself as such, no.
Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Tell me the whole story then.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her art. And then one day, a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
The plot thickens.
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasing men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Okay, so I've heard the Darkspawn tale. That was the one Ferelden legend that Leliana knows. Which, come to think of it, I'm actually a little bit surprised that in my other I'm actually a bit surprised that in my personal save, my human noble Grey Warden, who is from Highever, didn't have more of a reaction to Liliana's version of Flemeth's legend. I'm actually a bit surprised by that. Now, before we continue on, I'm gonna go off on a bit of a tangent here. So, before I started upstream, I was watching some random YouTuber videos, and one that I came across was a coefficient video. And if you know who coefficient is, you know. And if you don't know who coefficient is, he is a gamer. And I love watching his videos. Anyway. So one of the videos of his that I came across is what essentially amounts to a reactionary video. Well, it doesn't really amount to a reactionary video, it is a reactionary video. And in that video, he's reacting to VTuber rage moments. And I don't know why, but I love VTuber rage moments. I don't know why, I just do. It's weird. Anyway, back to game. I just wanted to go off on that little tangent for a moment. Anyway, let's hear some more Legion stories then.
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Olay.
This actually sounds pretty interesting.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot. Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the Grand Tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the Grand Tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Good idea. Did she end up winning?
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the Grand Melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Yeah. I was honestly kind of hoping for a happy ending there.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Avelin's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Well, that's somewhat of a happy ending, I guess. Anyway, let's hear what else you got.
Which one?
Know anything about the Dalish?
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in a land of their own.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't really last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a holy exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
I believe that God, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well, it doesn't really matter. Speaking of Andraste, what do you know about her?
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved and promised that he would create a paradise on Earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
How did she die?
Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hissarion of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter.
But Tevinter has a chantry, doesn't it?
The Tevinter Chantry claims that in Andraste's last moments, Hissarion's heart softened, and he heard the voice of the Maker telling him to end her suffering. he plunged his sword into her heart, and as her blood washed over his hands, he became one of the faithful. Dissenters said that the Archon only converted because he could not stem the tide of Andraste's cult, and was forced to do so to stay in power. We will never know for sure.
Let's talk to Alistair. Sure.
What do you need? Ask away.
So, tell me about the Grey Wardens then.
Such as they are.
Where are the nearest ones from here?
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands.
Is there a headquarters somewhere then?
Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfelds, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
Sounds like we'll need to start rebuilding the Ferelden Order.
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere.
What would happen if we just left?
Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight will grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere.
So what happens now that it's just the 2 of us then?
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away.
So, how did you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
I meant before that.
Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
And what skills might those be?
Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
Why did the Grand Cleric want to keep you, though?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I would never... I wouldn't have... was. A good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
No, you're
What
not.
do you need? You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did. I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry. I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of. I think he came from High Ever, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry, I'm just...
Not really. Not since I went to the tower, anyway.
That must have felt a lot like when I got sent to the Chantry. You mages don't even get a say in the matter after all. Thank you. Really, I mean, it was good to talk about it, at least a little.
Maybe I'll go to High Ever with you when you go.
I'd like that. So would he, I think. What do you need? Ask away.
So, you said this Arleman raised you?
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
I thought you were raised by the Chantry.
Oh, there you go, listening to me again. You'd think you'd have gotten past that already. I ended up in the Chantry, sure, but I didn't start there. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Arleman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow. He put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
So why did he send you off then?
Arleman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
In all honesty, you're probably luckier than most orphans.
I suppose you're right. I wasn't raised as the Arl's son, though, if you're picturing that. I slept in hay, out in the stables, not on silk sheets. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
There we go. You were young.
And raised by dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story. What do you need? Ask away.
What if he remains a Templar if you hate the Chantry?
Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring.
And that's the case. He should have been a mage, man.
Oh, you aren't kidding. I think the Templar uniforms are as colorful as they are just so the Templars didn't feel dull in comparison. Last thing you want when you're about to take down some Maleficar out in the woods is to have him point and laugh at your taste in clothing, am I right?
What's the real reason?
You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring.
I was just curious. But I really do want to know.
Poke, poke, poke. Tell me everything about your life, Alistair. All right, if you insist. It's not like we have anything better to do, right? The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it.
What'd you enjoy about it?
The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful for when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home?
I mean, the Circle of Magi's Tower was my home for a long time. But now that I'm with the Grey Wardens, I guess my home is them. I guess my home is with them.
It is. I didn't know you felt that way. We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way.
They can be rebuilt.
I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. What do you need?
See if there's anything.
Ask away.
Okay, so I've got one more out of him. So, Alistair, what exactly can a Templar do? Aside from hunt mages, what exactly can they do?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So, Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
Have you hunted any mages?
No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows. I was only present during one harrowing. That was all I needed, too. I don't know how anyone could get through that. The girl they tested, she had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that.
Seems like the Templars could run the Chantry.
You'd think that. But it's not so. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
Well, that's horrible.
Well, they do it, and they feel perfectly justified. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. A bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Let's go and talk to Morgan, hear her story. And then after that's done, I'll talk to Stan.
What do you wish of me? If you must. I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
That does sound like something you do.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Could anyone become one?
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required if I cared to teach you. The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Fair enough, fair enough.
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary. They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Fair enough. Never heard of magic like that before, though.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the Chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could. But as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
I mean, that's good, but isn't that sort of magic open to abuse, though?
Not all apostates use the forbidden blood arts. Maleficarum do, but to condemn all who do not fall under the circle's thrall for the sake of what might be is a dangerous path to walk. There are those who look on the word apostate as meaning freedom.
Fair enough.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
Not really. I think your abilities are quite useful.
A most practical opinion. Far more so than any man I have spoken to. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us. What do you wish of me? If you must.
So... Okay, Morgan, I gotta ask. Is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
She seems to be a powerful Maleficar.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the Chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I'm more interested in the truth than anything.
I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
So, just how long ago was this?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the Bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the Dreadlord Conobar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conobar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Well, Flemeth must have been angry.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
So she truly loved Osen then?
That was not the point. Conobar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Even my people have heard of Cormac.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Okay, so how is it that she survived for this long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legends tell of her having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them then?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors, though?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
And do you believe her, Virgin?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
An interesting story. Thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
I mean, I love her. What else do you want to know?
Nothing. I wish to know nothing more. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on.
Fair enough.
What do you wish of me? If you must.
Have you ever been hunted?
My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You found it fun?
I found the game fun. I was too young to understand the truth behind what was happening. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Give me just a sec. There we go. Surely more would have followed.
Sometimes. Eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Do you regret hurting any of them at all?
Would they have regretted hurting me? I was a young child. Yet do you think they would not have gleefully held my head aloft as a trophy? There are no trials for apostates, no prisons, no mercy. There are only absolutes, so only survival matters. If the wilds have taught me anything, 'tis this. First, you must survive. Do you disagree?
In all honesty, I mean, you're probably right.
An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. What do you wish of me? If you must. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
Alright, I'll leave you be then.
I did not ask to be left alone. I simply wondered from whence comes this strange curiosity.
I mean, we don't really need to be strangers, do we?
What a stranger does not know cannot hurt him, but have it your way. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
But you kept going back then.
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
That sounds like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped, and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
Quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Sometimes I don't get it myself, Morrigan.
Do not speak to me of trivialities. Your culture is not so entirely different. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again. Yes, here I am. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
Hey. Alright. So, Alistair is neutral. Morrigan is neutral. Liliana's neutral. The dog is, of course, super friendly with me, considering he's my dog. Sten is completely neutral at the moment. Speaking of Sten, however, let's go and chat him up. Because why not?
Why are we stopping? There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful? You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight. I am. Decide. I am a Sten of the Beresad. I did not choose to be who I am any more than you did. The Antam are the eyes, hands, and mouth of the Kunari. We are how my people know the world. Compared to what? What does anyone truly know of the world? The world changes. We change. The Antam observe what we can, just as you do. There is no point to this. We are keeping the Darkspawn waiting. As you wish.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, so let's see. Do I want to help at the Dalish first? Or do I want to take on Soldier's Peak? Let's see what level I am right now. Right now, everyone is about level 7. With Sten being my highest level character at the moment. Yeah, let's go ahead and tackle Soldier's Peak. Why not? So, give me Alistair,
Yes.
Morgan,
Indeed.
and Liliana.
Indeed.
Alrighty. Soldier's Peak. Atop a maze of abandoned mining tunnels lies the old Grey Warden base of Soldier's Peak. warn you that Soldier's Peak is DLC. So we're tackling a bit of the DLC first off, before anything else.
And here we are. Soldier's Peak.
It shouldn't take too long, though.
Maker's breath. Look at the size of her. What a fortress. I told you the map would get us through the tunnels.
Justice blood, how did you find that path on your own, Levy?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
She's impressive, that's for certain.
It's just teeming with history. Can't you feel it? So, I'll follow you about, from a distance. This place has the stench of death. I expect there's trouble up ahead.
Soldier's Peak. Looks like it's seen better days. Better centuries, more like.
Once the Wardens flourished, their ranks full, their caliber certain. Now they even accept people like you, Alistair.
Hey!
Damn. Oof. That is a big oof. Yikes. Alright, let's explore just a little bit. Not really seeing any elf route or death route for that matter. So, let's head up the stairs here. Well, cutscene.
Fall back! Fall back already!
Is that turn Logan?
Taking the peak will not be easy, my lord.
I gave the Wardens one chance to die with honor. Instead, they hole up like cowards. We follow the King's advice, then. Starve them out.
But the peak has months of supplies.
I don't
Then we
think
wait.
that's Logan.
When they are too
I don't
weak to
know
lift
who
their
that
weapons, we will send them to their final judgment.
Huh. I don't
What was
think
that?
that was turn Logan.
Felt a bit woozy there. I'm not mad, am I? You saw it too?
I've heard an Orlesian ballad about something like this. A beauty trapped in a dream. In the song, Belisa never wakes up.
Your prissy friend here is making me nervous, Warden. How's this even possible? The place must truly be haunted.
Strange phenomena can be seen where the veil is thin.
The veil?
Don't worry about it. Let's move on.
Yes, Warden.
It's a big courtyard. Big courtyard, I'll tell you that much.
Unnatural and always so...
that lesser layering potion.
Well, all right.
Pick up that skelly. That skelly.
Well, all right.
Pick up all that. Go. Alright. So I've got Shapeshifter, but I'm gonna be picking up Spirit Healer and Arcane Warrior. These are gonna be my two specializations.
And so.
The men's morale is low. My spells are of no use in this matter, Commander.
There is more to leading men than sorcery, Avernus. I will remind them that they're wardens. Men, I won't lie to you. The situation is grim. Our forces outnumbered, our bellies empty, and our hearts are sagging. But we are wardens! Darkspawn flee when they hear our horns. Archdemons die when they taste our blades. So are we to bend knee to a mere human despot? No! I, for one, will never give up! I, for one, will never surrender just to dance on Arlen's gallows. So I propose here and now, in these hallowed halls where generations of our brethren stood vigil against darkspawn and evil, that we send a message to that fat bastard. In this sacred place, proud men, strong men stood defiant, and would rather die than submit to tyranny.
So brave, even when starving, and my great-great-grandmother stood with them.
Can't believe the king attacked the Grey Wardens.
Everyone knows they were banished, but to murder them like that, King Arlen must have been a monster. But I've gabbed enough. Lead on, my friend.
Okay, that's the way we entered, so we need to go. We ain't gonna fight. Oh no, he's dead. Oh no. Ah, damn it. Oh, of course it's an arcane horror.
As you desire.
Take that layering potion for sure. Screw that, since it would not worth much. I think Liliana might like that small carved statuette, so give it to her and see what she thinks about it.
Oh, how dear of you.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
figured she'd like that. And the rest of that's the chainmail.
Yes, of course. Of course. What a mess.
Morrigan can level up.
New tactic. Fight ankles.
Definitely gonna be upping her con. So Morgan is more an entropic caster. For now, I'll give her Arcane Bolt. Fire Bomb. Elf light arrows, okay. Definitely take those. Alright, let's over this way then. Yeah, I have a wild stone. Okay.
Yes?
Nope. Not what I meant to do.
Of course. Well, all right.
I'd eat mushrooms.
Lovely.
Heavy metal shield. Ah, sure. What the hell? Archivist's book. Huh. This book is badly burned. You can make a word out here and there, and that's all. Whoa.
The door won't hold, Archivist.
Almost done. The truth must be told.
What does it matter? We're dead.
Our grand rebellion so close. And to die here, a stillbirth.
We never should have done it. Wardens aren't supposed to oppose kings and princes.
Should we stand idly by?
Another one. Rebellion? What's this about a rebellion? If only the book weren't burned.
Maybe there are other records.
We can only hope.
want to check some of these other rooms. Any more books or anything? Not really seeing it.
What do you wish of me?
There's a note here.
And so I shall.
A plea from Commander Althar. Soldier's Peak is more than we bargained for. There's sinister magic at work here. Men are seeing things and can't tell nightmares from reality. The fallen return to life to attack again and again. We are assaulted by dark creatures, the likes of which I've never seen. Whoever's responsible is intent on destroying us all. The King's army and the Grey Wardens, both. Send help. We can't last much longer. Commander Althar. Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
Well, all right.
Ancient history. So there is a book I've missed somewhere, since that's the History on Soldier's Peak, Chapter 2. That's the path that Althar left. Athlar, however you pronounce his name. Maybe it's further in. There's the Archivist's book. Yeah, it's probably... That's the book I got the quest from. Well, let's see what's on the second floor then. Big open room. Something's gonna happen here.
Make them pay for every inch, men! Hold the flank! Avernus, we need you!
is mine, Avernus.
Acolytes, retreat now. The battle is lost.
Avernus!
What just happened? Oh no, more fighting.
Oh boy.
Don't quit! Run while you can! I'll try to do that. I am your death. It's your time to die. Oh, this should be good. Another acolyte.
Okay, done with you now.
Oh, this should be good. Oh, I see. That.
Sorry for the bad pixelation there.
You should run while you can. Too easy.
The wardens summoned demons. Can't believe it. And my grandmother, she knew. I believed that my family was better than that. But answers may lay up ahead.
It's a good thing I plan on picking up Spirit here. Cheers, Spirit. 36 now.
And so I shall. Lovely.
I never liked this part. Wipe them out. I am not. Make it be praised.
Silver ring. Take that fire crystal though. Raspberry jam. Just about the safe side.
Step no further, Warden. This one would speak with you. Because this peak is mine. This one is the Dryden, Commander, Sophia. All these things.
Grandmother?
You have slain many of the demon ilk to get here. This one would propose a deal.
That, or she's really let herself go. My great-great-grandmother is dead. I don't know what that is.
This one has tasted her memories, seen her thoughts and hidden places. But she is food for this one. No more, no less.
Yeah, no.
Fool!
Goodbye. You die now.
What's all this?
Oh shit. Ah. God, I'm so glad I'm gonna be picking up freaking Spirit Healer.
Lovely. Well, all right.
What?
And so I shall.
I can't believe my great-great-grandmother was still alive. Well, sort of alive, sort of dead. I need a drink.
Oh, you and me both, Levy. You and me both.
Of course. As you desire. As you desire. The unnatural is
Sure.
lovely.
Day 32. The subject is not responding to the stimuli. Testing the pain threshold has uncovered nothing. Only 3 subjects are left. Day 82. If only I could reproduce last night's extraordinary success. Electricity is only a catalyst. The blood is the key. Day 97. Energy and blood. Repeated applications have duplicated the results. I conjecture that success can be induced alchemically. But there are no more subjects left. If only I had 1 more, or a dozen. The things I could do.
Okay then. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm gonna friggin' destroy that vial, because I don't need any of that. I'm not a proponent of torture and experimentation. So, goodbye.
I hear you. Don't disrupt my concentration.
Oh.
Even now, the demons seek to replenish their numbers. are you to thank for this welcomed but temporary imbalance?
A monster? For 100 years I have fought them, thought by thought, spell by spell. If I am a monster, it is because I must be one.
Careful. This man has dabbled in matters forbidden by the Maker. He may look frail, but don't trust him.
So the Maker told you that, did he? Short-sighted men have forbidden my research, not any god. Enough. Why are you here? What is your intent? They were necessary. Any tool, any iota of information that could defeat the fell demons was justified. As a warden, you should know that.
Necessary. Having to relieve yourself after an 8-hour ride is necessary. But there's no excuse for summoning demons.
Charming. To what questions, I wonder? Ask. The Chantry foolishly forbids blood magic, but there are so many secrets to uncover. As my body decayed, I found ways to extend it.
Oh, I knew he was a blood
But that
mage.
can only go so far. To stop the demonic tide, to correct the miscalculations of the past. Blood magic comes from demons. They could counter every bit of law I knew. But the Darkspawn taint, that is alien to them. And it has power. The Wardens use it merely to sense Darkspawn. A triviality. My research has discovered so much more. Hinted at even greater heights. This knowledge could not only save Soldier's Peak, with it the Wardens could grow even more powerful. You dare to judge me? I have stood in relentless vigil against the demonic ranks. I have done this task without complaint, without relief. It was necessary. It was vital. The few meager years of life they would have spent trapped in this tower were nothing compared to the greater goal. I gave their death meaning.
My God. You evil.
Yes? What use would storytelling serve? The tyrant Arland is long dead, as is all our noble co-conspirators and the Grand Rebellion. Sophia's corpse may walk and talk, but she, too, is no more. He ruled with fear and poison, his treachery pit noble against noble in terrible battle. We thought him a monster. We gathered allies to rebel. But the toll of years has erased our failure, hasn't it? It seemed so pressing then, but the kingdom lives on.
Dude, you had to know. You had to.
Perhaps, but it was survival. For months, I prepared the summoning circles, researched the darkest depths of the Fade. That moment was a triumph of demonic law. Dozens of demons, called by my hand. But with so many variables, I suppose, calculation errors were inevitable. Ah, I was so close. And who draws this line of what is safe, proper, or moral? The Chantry? Corrupt, mundane, pathetic little men? You? Embrace the core tenet of the Wardens, any means necessary to win. She gave the order. I would have summoned the demons anyway. Only under Wardens can true magical research continue. A chance to rediscover the secrets of ancient Tevinter.
You do remember how that ended, right?
Chantry lies told to subjugate the mages, to keep them docile.
But how do you know the Chantry's wrong, though?
And how do you know they are right? Their faith would have you swallow a great deal for small comfort. My only regret is that it failed, and that I never had a chance to make Ireland pay. Yes?
Master Mage, sir, my family name has been worth less than dirt for over a century. Do you have any proof that Sophia was a hero?
The boy who braved the mists. So you heeded my call. And you are a Dryden. The Cosmos has a sense of humor. He was but a boy when he entered the tunnels below the peak. His heart pure, his character certain. In dreams, I gave him the keys he would need. He would be my deliverance. Your great-great-grandmother was the best of us. Brave, charismatic, fiery, utterly devoted to the fight. But still we lost. We fought against a tyrant, you know, so full of vigor then, so blind to consequence. But proof? There's none to be had.
I had hoped. But thank you, Warden.
Yes. So be it. My only request, if justice or vengeance drive you, stay your hand until the demons are dealt with. That will do for now. We must go to the Great Hall. There will be peril.
Lovely. Well, all right.
We must act quickly. The demons are clawing on the gates. The veil must be closed. I will unravel the summoning circles I drew so long ago. Waves of spirits and demons may come through. Dispatch them. I will begin. First, I must summon the magical energies. I feel them. They're coming.
It's your time to die! Another corpse for the pile.
can't believe my great-great-grandmother was still alive. Well, sort of alive, sort of dead. I need it.
It's over. The veil is strong now. Stronger, at least. So what of me? Will you leave me to experiment in peace? Without test subjects. But I will do what I can in the... But if I do...
You've done it, Warden. So, that old geezer Avernus deserves the gallows if he does the proper research. But there was no proof to redeem my family. For so long, I think enough of that. You've got a whole fortress now. I suppose I should start plying my trade again. An honor. If you ever want to talk, and I'll...
Looks like we're done here. A demonic
No, I've still got one more quest to do. Now I'm gonna go ahead and save here. And let's see if I can find out. Okay, so there's a statue in the southwest corner outside the fortress that I missed.
Well, all right.
So there's a statue somewhere out here. There's only this one statue, so maybe this is it. Yep. Alright! Hey, Alistair leveled up. Nice. need to go back in the keep, find out where that stash is. Northwest corner of the second hall. Of the second floor, rather.
Of course.
Probably gonna be in Sophia's room.
Allow me. I could do that for you.
Above the fireplace in the northwest corner of the second floor.
As you desire.
You found an old painting, one dating back to Commander Asturian's time. Perhaps Asturian's history points to this. Didn't see that coming. Asturian's might. That's that quest done. Now we can get out of here. party camp.
I don't understand. You look like a woman. You are a Grey Warden, so it follows that you can't be a woman. Women are priests, artisans, shopkeepers, or farmers. They don't fight.
Okay, that's not a universal truth.
Why would women ever wish to be men? That makes no sense.
Okay, sexist much? Jeez.
Do they also wish to live on the moon? That's as attainable. One of those things can't be true. A person is born, Qunari or human or elven or dwarf. He doesn't choose that. The size of his hands, whether he is clever or foolish, the land he comes from, the color of his hair, these are beyond his control. We do not choose, we simply are. Can they? We'll see.
Okay. Sexist much? Jeez.
Enchantment?
Let's see.
Enchantment!
Alright. Give that to the Elvis Frostran. Forgot he had to do that. Forgot he had to drain that. Alright, so now that we've hit up camp.
Yes.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Let's go back to Soldier's Peak. Hey, can mix that up. Storage too. Oh,
Welcome back, Warden.
Alright, let me...
As you can see, we've been busy. Also got some goods stored here that might interest you. Buy them now before... I thought about it, but I figured that it's not a bad thing to believe that you come from a line of lions. Even if the truth is a touch more complicated. Our family's belief that we were wronged. It gave us strength to make something of ourselves. King Arland sounded like a right nasty piece of work.
Agreed.
Sophia was branded a traitor. But in spite of it all, I think she was a hero. Haven't heard a peep from him. Seems... But I keep telling the children to stay away from the tower.
Yeah, Keep looks a lot different.
We've a big family. When you... Hard to believe there were undead, demons, and worse around here, right?
Right. Let's see what you've got then.
Certainly.
I recall. Ah! Aha! Damn, 12 gold. Oof. I've still got plenty, so I'll take it. Manual Spirit Healer. Yes, please. Now we just need to sell some stuff to make up that. I've got the spirit healer specialization. Got one half of the freaking subs that I'm looking to build. I've got the spirit healer. Now I just need to get up a Brazilian forest and pick up whatchamacall, Arcane Warrior. There we go. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it.
Another battle I smell.
As you desire. Well, all right.
You will learn to fear me.
Hold, outsider. You may be of my kind, but you are not Dalish. Why are you here? Flat ears like yourself act little different from your Shemlin masters. I ask again, why are you here? And what business is that? That is not a lie that many would attempt. I will bring you to the Keeper then, and he can decide if your business is worthwhile.
And the game crashes. I at least want to get to where I'm actually in the Dalish camp before I end stream. Why is it still going through the speakers? It shouldn't be. Oh my god, whatever. Wouldn't even autosave. Oh well. I was gonna end stream there anyway, so. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end stream.